Welcome to the 343. This is the GWS Men's Chat. I'm here with a friend of mine, a work colleague. As you can see, we're donning the shirts 180TC represent. If you don't know what 180TC is, it is a men's residential rehab. We deal with men who go through life-controlling issues.
Yep.
It's a 6-month program, non-for-profit. An amazing ministry, an amazing team, and we love the work that we do. We have a blessed opportunity to work with men who basically need help.
Yeah.
They need assistance with obviously quitting substance abuse, which they've been going through for a long time.
Yep.
We get to partner with them and play a small part. And the part that we play, our prayer is always that they just get better the longer that they remain in program. And obviously, Finnair, how long have you been working at 180TC?
6 years, 5.5 years full time, 6 months I did part time.
Solid. First of all, bro, thanks for letting us do this interview, mate. You're actually one of our first participants to do an interview. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I love being a pioneer, so it's good being part of the starting what it could be.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Thank you. And obviously, man, this is the GWS men's community, and in this space, we have a lot of men who work in different fields. Yeah. Obviously, we are from a field that is community services, community health services, and obviously, like I said before, we have a great opportunity to do the work that we do. But obviously, there's so much more to your life than just that, bro. And I'm not downsizing it to just being a caseworker, although you are a very good one at that, probably the best. But obviously, that's part of the ministry that you lead.
Yeah.
But I think maybe we give the viewers an insight into who you are, maybe where you've come from, if that's cool, bro.
Yeah.
You want to give us a bit of insight into, I guess, the Finnair that grew up from a teenager to now. Can you give us a short version of
I'll give you
your story?
Highlight reel, I guess.
Yeah.
Highlight reel. 6 sisters, 1 brother. I am the second youngest. So, a Tongan background. My mum and dad met here in Australia. It's cool. Married, had us kids. I grew up in a Tongan Uniting church. Then that split, probably 4 or 5 years, where my mum was like, well, you choose what church you want to go to.
Yeah. So
those 4 or 5 years, I guess that was a wilderness for me. I just decided to do my own. It's the big things of life, which ultimately didn't fulfill me and led me to a path where I didn't recognise who I was. And then to Hillsong Greater West, the 3rd of the 1st, 2016, and my life to Christ.
Let's go.
And from there, never took a backward step, never looked back. Had moments, obviously, those transitions of learning what the old life is and where the new life is, and finding a new community and in the.
Bro, I remember seeing you come to church. So you had long hair.
Yep.
So it came to. How long have you been growing that? That was.
I had since I was young, like 12.
Is that like a Tongan thing or?
For the girls, it is.
Okay.
For the guys, I think it's just like it was either have long hair or have the bowl haircut. That I grew up with. So I was like,
bowl haircuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you met your wife at church as well.
Yeah, met my wife at church, which was awesome. We met through Connect Group and Leadership for young adults.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Hey, I met my wife through church too.
Oh,
fellas, we're just saying that if you're single, church is the place to mingle.
It is 100%.
If you're single, just saying, fellas.
In the club, you find a dad.
In the club, you find a dad. That's right. But in church, you find worth. You find who. So obviously, man, you grew up obviously in Mountie, Mount Druitt. For those who don't know, and we're both Mount Druitt boys. Wouldn't change it even if we had a chance, right?
Yeah, 27 district.
I'll tell you now, that's what makes Greater West the best, mate. You've got people all from Mount Druitt, St Mary's to Kingswood to Blacktown to Penrith, just all over. And the Greater West is a massive landscape, but we get awesome legends like yourself. Do you think if you had the chance to be brought up anywhere else, you would take it? Like, and why? If you would, would you? Or would you
I wouldn't, because I learn a lot in the West. I learn more about myself and how I engage with people and interact. And I think, like you said, the best is from the West, and I love I love the area, I love the community.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
awesome place to be.
It is. It is. You find out in areas like Mount Druitt, Campbelltown, like they've got their housing commission, and they've got the people that are blue collar workers.
Yeah.
But then you've got kind of it's like a mix. Like even now,
that brings character.
It does.
That brings character and it shapes character as well.
Yes.
So
100%.
I think those areas and like we grew up in those areas and like forever grateful. It really teaches humility.
It does.
And you see the worst and you see the good.
Yeah.
I think the area gets a bad rap a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But I think that's just marketing from centuries ago.
Yeah.
That people are just not willing to let go of.
That's right.
Just like, mate, if you've been there now, it's a great place to be.
Did you ever feel like I felt like this, but when I was growing up and I used to work eastern suburbs.
Yeah.
Embarrassed to say you're from Metro.
In high school I was, because you'd go to, like, if you ever went to an excursions and you met, because you get such a bad rap.
Yeah.
Like even example, when I was in year 6 and you had that transition to go to year 7.
Yeah.
People would say, "Oh, Mandarin's a bad place, full of drugs, full of this," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to that place."
Yo.
So you're already, you're already, I guess, cultivated to think, "Oh, it's a bad place," because that's what people say it is.
Or even just to avoid it, you just say you're from Penrith?
Yeah.
No, I'm from Penrith.
From Penrith, yeah. From the mountains.
Yeah, there's Mount Druitt people, man. What's going on here?
Yeah.
I think it was kind of like, for me, it made me feel a bit like I was ashamed, I guess. And I was from a housing commission house, and my house was so close to the school, but I guess you learn to accept it, right? Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, bro. So, man, this could go anywhere. I'm just going to pepper you with questions, bro.
Yeah, go
just
for it.
fill the
I wrote
gaps.
some answers to some questions.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully I'll remember what I wrote and what the text message I sent this guy. You've been working at 180TC for how long now?
Since the 26th of April 2019.
Yo, so this is 2025 now. 6 years.
6 years. Yeah.
6 years, and you've done Bible college.
Yes, and currently still doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez. In the time that you've done this, because I don't know if anyone knows, but the statistic of caseworking is 2 years.
Yeah.
You've lasted 6.
Yeah.
You didn't go through the program though, did you?
No.
No, you didn't go through the program. Although, like, we probably would have had our fair share of battles and things that we would have gone through as well.
Yeah, personal experience.
Personal experience. What do you think's probably been the number one thing that you've kind of learned, or you feel like God's taught you, or even you've just learnt yourself in terms of working in?
What I've learned while working with men in addiction at 180, I wrote some answers. So
this guy's got notes.
Frame it.
Notes guy.
One of the things I wrote was every case is different, and that treatment without care to different needs leads to lack of respect. So if you treat, everyone has different needs, and if you show no care, no genuine care, there's going to be a lack of respect. There's going to be rebellion, and there's going to be no growth. So I find that the care factor, that really goes a long way. When a guy sees you're engaged, listening to them, when a guy sees that you genuinely care and you go the extra mile, then that is reciprocated through respect and growth, and they're willing to take correction.
Yeah.
But if you just under the rug, you be dismissive, then you have a lot of trouble. Did
you learn that a hard way? Was there ever an example? You don't have to mention names, but was there an example where you might have learned that the hard way, where you just were like, oh, far out, maybe I missed the mark there? Or
similar cases like the same, but they're not. Like, every case is different.
Yeah.
Like, someone might have a similar background, but it doesn't mean like, oh yeah, this is how you deal with it, because everyone has a story of their own.
Yeah.
And that's backfired where a student will call you out and be like, you don't care.
Wow.
They use more colourful language, obviously, but like, you don't care. You should be a caseworker. All of that, and you learn from that. You either you take backward step and you just throw in the towel. You learn from it.
Yeah. Do you when you say to kind of take your time and to listen, and that's probably not even just in the field of AOD or drug and alcohol, but also it's probably a life principle as well, right? Like, you lead young adults,
Yeah.
the young adults ministry, which is 18 to
25.
But I guess you probably feel that that's relevant right across the board.
Yeah, it's something that can be transferred over throughout all life, and I find that for me personally, I learn more by listening.
Yeah.
So for me, like, if that's part of me caring in that, like, I'll listen more than I speak. And I think that helps a lot, because to listen to understand rather than respond, like, there's a big difference. You know, someone asks you a question and you just rebuttal, rather than chew on it, reflect on it, and how can you respond to that. And for me, like, that's helped in my relationship with Juliet and with young adults, in listening to people's issues or like wanting help.
That's awesome.
Just hearing them, meeting where they're at, and like just responding the way that they need.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I think it's needed in this field, right? Like, when you work with guys in addiction, and we do what we do, I think one of the things I know is that these guys can be professional lie detectors. They can detect a lie on top of that. We're dealing with guys that come from jail, we're dealing with guys that come from the streets, rough upbringings, trauma, different abuse, right? So it's pretty massive, and I guess you don't want to be fluffing your words, right? When you say that you legitimately want to make sure that you're sensitive with how you hear these people, these guys, I guess it's something that you actually take quite seriously.
Yeah, and as you said, like, they're massive lie detectors because they've been manipulative and deceptive in some ways. So they're like, we see it because we act that way. Not that they are like that now, but they'll call you out, and they'll be okay with running it.
Jeez. We'll stay on work if that's alright, because I think that's pretty cool, man. Like, with the field that you do, and obviously being a caseworker for 6 years, which is massive, a lot of wealth and experience there, bro. Do you see the hand of God in what you do?
Yeah, definitely. I think the first month I was here at ONE80TC, I remember Troy sharing, if you can do this job without God, you're in the wrong field.
Boom!
The moment he said that stuck with me. Since 2019, it's always stuck with me. And I'm like, wow, it's very true. And like, the hand of God can look in different ways, because there's different parts to the bodies, there's different ministries, but it's the same God. It's the same Spirit that flows, it's the same Christ that died for us. And in that way, like, caseworking looks so different, you know, and it's so good that it is, because like, we work good as a team. You have different strengths, I have different strengths. Arnold has different strengths.
He does.
It's great that we can bounce off each other, because there might be something that we can't see. We have a blind spot, and you'd be like, hey, you got a blind spot, you need to work on that. I'm like, you have a blind spot. And I think the hand of God is, how Corinthians talks about the body.
Let's go.
I think how we operate, that is the hand of God there.
Yeah. Eddie, say, how do you balance between doing the Christian work and doing the professional work of being a rehabilitation still? Because although we're not a church, I guess being Christ-centered, you still want to represent that, but also we're a professional rehabilitation. How do you balance both?
I think what I've learned recently in the last 2 years is boundaries is a strong thing. Like, I know we talk about wearing many hats, but I don't think you ever take your Christian hat off. I just think you channel that in the area that is needed.
Love it.
So I think if it's in regards of a legal aspect, like a student needs something with a legal thing, then you're like, okay, I see the heart of Christ in that, but I've got to be diligent. So I've got to be on top of it. And if it's in regards of a student's had a breakdown of relationship, well, that means I have to be like Christ, compassionate and understanding. So I'm always wearing that hat, but I'm just channeling it in the right areas where it's needed. As the day, as the day progresses. So I'm never taking that hat off. I'm just putting it, like, if I need to be professional in the legal aspect, court system, then I do that. But if I need to be compassionate, relational, I do that. If I need to communicate and do my studies and my notes, then I do that as well. Because Christ is diligent, Christ is compassionate, Christ is, on top of things.
It's all about being faithful, right? With everything, right across the board. It's good, man. I think it's one of the things that we find here is, regardless of where you work, fellas, like, it's kind of being both the hands and feet of Jesus, but also knowing that as a job, I have a job to keep professionally. And in being professional, we're representing Jesus, so it's you're kind of killing two birds with the same stone, right?
Yeah.
It's
like they don't contradict or confront each other, but they're like partnership.
Yeah.
They work hand in hand. It's not like you have to be heavy-handed on one aspect where you're super superior, but then you're not a good worker, or you're a really good worker, but you don't got the spirit of God.
Yeah.
Like you actually have them
They
together.
go hand in hand. Yeah. And I think you do more for the gospel anyway when you represent it, when it complements each other, right? Like when you're professional, but also you're still able to carry this spiritual side of your life. God gets the glory with both, you know, because you're representing Him on both fronts, which I think is really cool, man. Yeah. Last one on work, bro. But if you've got anything else there, feel free to chuck it out. You work in a pretty heavy field.
Yeah.
You work with people that go through all kinds of situations and dramas. They unload a lot onto you, bro. And obviously you've got professional supervision, which we highly recommend, senior counsellors. And 180TC does an amazing job of that, obviously, with speaking from personal experience there as well. But in terms of just us as men doing the 9 to 5, what is something that you do to kind of switch off and kind of get into husband mode when you get home, or kind of just allow yourself to kind of relax and breathe and be like, what do you do, bro, when you just kind of want to close the door on work and go home and just relax?
I think like even the step before I prep myself for home is like a close off work. Like many times before, I've learned the hard way. Is like you get calls from mums, dads, partners after 5 o'clock, and because you want to be helpful, you answer them. But if anyone messages me after 5 or calls me, I don't answer them. I let them ring out. Emails, I don't bother with it. And whatever I haven't completed by 5, or if I feel anxious about it tomorrow, well, I'll be anxious about it. I just set that strong boundary where I don't take work home. And even when I have conversations with my wife, Juliet, and she'll be asking how's work, like for me, I don't debrief about work because I'm like, well, it was good, and if it was bad, it was bad, but I don't go into the details.
Great.
That boundary of just keeping work at work. Once I leave that yellow gate, that's it. And I think one thing that helps me a lot is I have my own personal debrief with God, and whether I'm praying or listening to worship music, but then also going for a walk or doing some training. I've always found either going for a run or doing a gym workout that's like beyond your limits, you're not focusing about anything. So when you're pushing that weight, you're lifting something and you're struggling, like you've forgotten about work. So I think good exercise helps a lot. I really do think that.
Nice. Kind of keeping an active lifestyle after work, right?
And
even kind of like, I like what you said, getting your mind off on something else. So it's off work, kind of helps feel that the tendency to kind of always be focused on work. Although you do love it, because I can tell you love it, I guess for our own longevity and our own health, we've got to make sure that we get used to switching off. Finny, I appreciate you, mate. Thanks for coming on the 343, bro. This is the Greater West Men's page signing off. Tamana, this is Finny. Your last words, bro.
Thanks for having me.
Love you guys. Be blessed. That's it from us. Thanks, guys.